That's all, folks. Welcome to another town hall. In lieu of JB coming on and telling you all the things, we decided to make a slideshow video and play it up front with some neat music. Thanks, JB, for that. Appreciate it. If you want to do shout outs, send them to People Ops. He'll make new ones. We'll show them on the town halls and also put them in the People Ops channel. Anyone can do it. Everyone should do it. I should do it. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, so keep it coming. Not a lot of development updates this week because everyone is planning on the all hands and the offsites and the Parallel Societies event. So most of the effort is towards getting ready for that. And so whatever demos and stuff we would normally show are going to be in real life in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So be prepared for that. Get excited for that. So all the updates we are having today are going to be around the other side of things, community stuff, Parallel Society stuff. And up first, we're going to bring on Ned. Haven't heard from him in a long time. Welcome back, Ned. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Tell us about what Johnny told you to do. The brand.
Brand. So probably everybody notices there was a substantial overhaul to the brand. We changed everything a bit. But I thought, talking to Johnny, we thought it might be a good idea to explain why we did that, because maybe people just look at it and they think, what the hell is this? Why does it look like Patagonia? Why is it outdoors and there's helicopters and shit everywhere? But the idea basically before we began that process was to try to find more of a fit. Also to be completely different than everything currently, right? It's easier to be much different when in 2017 when there was nobody here, and now everybody's here trying to sell everything. So it's very difficult to just show engineering, right? It's like everybody's selling everything. So for us, it was also a point to try to be truthful, be more natural, and do something that was a little more aspirational to a lifestyle that we know, rather than just show bullshit tech stuff. Like, it's tiring. I know it's there, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but the thing is, with any brand, it's going to be the aspiration and an ideology they want you to be a part of, as opposed to showing you how that thing works. So that's mainly why we went also to push for this more of an exploration route, because the mentality that you need, or that was needed before, was that you were on a frontier, right? It's like, this is the same mentality of people that are in crypto, that were in crypto, that were building outside the parameters. They're exploring further than what's possible or what's allowed. And I think that, and it's honest and relatable from humans, right? It's like people naturally want to find the boundaries of things. So for us, it was like, this is also ultimately what a lot of us want to do, right? Like, I don't want to sit behind my computer all day. I want to be able to do technology working so I can do other things and balance yourself out naturally. So I think that this encompassed a lot of those ideas that would help give people a fresh perspective, but also put them in the same mentality of pioneers. It's like everybody that was early on the internet were pioneers. People that are building experimental tech are pioneers. People in crypto were pioneers, because that's what it meant. You're in an unregistered area building unlawful shit. So why the fuck would you follow the rules and do what everybody else is doing? I don't want that. So I think that was where we were like, let's go in this direction, because it feels different, but it feels truthful to a lot of who we are. A lot of us like to be outdoors and challenge ourselves in physical ways or mental ways, not only with technology. So to me, it encompassed this whole package, and that is what we tried to sum up in the brand now.
How do you see us like making that transition once we have tech we can put in people's hands more? How do we leverage that brand, or leverage the tech to push that brand, right? Because like ultimately, like you said, we're using this technology to allow us to do more things. How do we make that transition when we're pushing test nets and applications and stuff to maintain that brand?
I think that you'll see that the main thing, a lot of design is a trick. It's marketing bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't want it either. It's like that's why we've have genuinely tried to go back to brutalist infrastructural engineering truths, right? It's like, show me the
What you
authentic
got?
interface of the thing, right? Show me the build of the thing, the structure of it, the truth of it, not the poetry.
No.
That's lying. If I show you the native interface of something, it's believable and it's also truthful to who you are. But if you're creating interfaces that look like Apple interfaces and you're giving somebody a shitty experience, that's lying. So to me, there's more leeway in being honest with what you build, and it also makes you a part of a different group of people. You know, it's like when you're having an interface of something like IRC or you're on the dark net, it's different, and it's different on purpose, and it feels different, and that's part of a club and a feeling that I think is nice. It shows that you're not doing what everybody else is doing. So I think there's a lot of things in there with like the simplicity of what we can do is what we can do, and we shouldn't have to shine these things. Like, and there are levels and people that are willing to help, but it's ultimately about being part of this thing. So it's also, I think, all of those things when they mesh together nicely, the same with the interfaces, the same with however the brand's perceived or hardware or the people, it's everything should come from this core idea that I think a lot of us share and are trying to push.
Yeah. So when I look at the brand and I think about like a lot of the iterations we've had that have come from you in this kind of like brutalist minimalism interface that we have, I think about like it's hard. Like it's like a lot of that came from like Tor not allowing JavaScript, so the browsing experience was much more simplistic relative to like the early internet, because you can't run JavaScript because it's not private or secure. And so that like I see the reflection of that in the older things that have come from us from brands. And then you shift over to what we have today with Logos, and it's like the pioneer mentality is a call to kind of resilience, simplicity, and like it's hard. And so like living like that is still hard, but it's, you know, ultimately worth it. And is that the kind of narrative we're trying to like hold on to or like push or advocate for?
I think there's aspects of it where parts of it that, you know, a lot of it looks singular, which I don't think is our thing. It's like you do want to have group efforts, like it is a communal thing.
Yeah.
But these are expeditions we do together, or it's a mentality that we share together, I think, of just exploring first, and then, you know, with the technology you find levels and ways to balance out these goalposts with technology and nature, and when it plays in there, it can work nicely. And it doesn't mean that all the interfaces have to be terminals, but there will be terminals, right? Because there's a truth. So to me, somehow you're getting at these core truths and portraying this feeling that we have. You know, part of it, I'm guilty of this also because I'm older, right? I come from a period where you had to log on and Telenet and shit. Like, but it gives me a nostalgic feeling, and I know that there's a lot of people that have that too. So it's also can be part of it. Is like there's different layers to explore, but I think that's also the fun of having such a brand that is open in such a way, right? There's the possibilities to go in different paths and explore things and find truths. But if everything is shiny and lying, that's not truthful. You know, it's like that's built wrong. So I think it's also an iteration on these things. That's why the brand keeps pivoting, is because crypto and everybody in it moves so damn fast.
Mm-hmm. And
you're trying to build something without a product and show people that come here. And they're thinking, what's there, right? So I think we are getting to the point now where we have more substantial things. We're asking people, come with us. If I look at a website that's full of goddamn GitHub repos, it's not saying come with me. I will go and look, but it's not the same thing visibly to get more people to say, what is this? What are these people doing? I want to be a part of that thing. That's what you want them to feel like. And that's how people should be the ambassadors of that thing, right? You want them to come with you. Look at this. Isn't this exciting? We're going to go over here. We're going to be free.
Yeah, I've racked my head around, well, maybe just smashed my head against a brick wall for years trying to make development sexy. It's hard, especially when you're appealing to a much broader audience of like saying, come with us, come here. We're going, this is the way in which we're being pioneers. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
No, but neither has anybody. Brands, it doesn't work like that. Nike isn't going to show you all the technology of an air cushion to sell you that you're going to be first place. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, maybe
you
take
want
a
to be a
step back.
winner.
Like, I don't think people know who you are really in the organization. Like, where did you come from?
Where did I come from?
Yeah.
I came in a long time ago with Johnny in 2017, 2018. There was nobody in brand. There was no brands in crypto. And then I basically came from working on Nike and Magic Leap and a bunch of other big brands because there's nothing free there. There was no freedom in the corporate world. So I came here to escape all that. And that's what I think I fight for here is this place was always meant to be free, like the internet, like the ocean, like the radio waves, like space. And I think that's the mentality where you find truths when you're fighting for this thing, because that's what when all the tourists come and infiltrate the internet, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not where I'm from or what I want. And I'm hoping. So in the end, what you do is you leave your office and you go out and you go hiking, you go walking, you go running, you go to the outdoors because there's freedom and the possibility for your mind to escape and whatever. But I think there's a nice balance with the ideal technology. You'd be able to take these things in your pocket. You can have your laptop, you can have contact with a satellite to do something. You can freely move. So I think it's a balance of these things together where a lot of people don't think like that. They are definitely locked in prisons and cities, like thinking they're free.
Yeah, that like appeal to resilience, like simplicity and resilience as a way of like escaping the droning, like the city droning is a good avenue to have. Because I had previously looked at like, I imagine there was a kind of an assortment of options we can go with, piracy being one of them, like being pirates, right? Because if you read like the pirate organization, it's a really good description of like the type of thing that we're doing. Yeah, but that isn't necessarily a good brand. And so like this is a way to kind of build something that's relatable to a lot of people, especially right now, that's in line with that.
Yep. And I think that's part of the idea, right? You want to have some truth. You want to have these truths wrapped up in a way that isn't scary, because I love the pirate party, but but it's not it might not work everywhere, and not everybody might not want to be a pirate or fight and die for something. But I think these types of things, just for yourself, for the nature, for yourself, and what humans are meant to be doing naturally, isn't meant to be behind computers, right?
It also reminds people that like what we're doing is for people, or like at the end of the day, humans are on the end of the technology. And that's what the purpose for a lot of this. And so having a brand that identifies with that or like showcases that, it makes it intuitive of like, no, we're building things to help people and build relationships and coordinate. And the technology should, and Jared said this in the last All Hands and Split around like the technology isn't the point. It's just a requirement for the point in a lot of ways. Like I'm paraphrasing what he said, but like, that's the idea, is like we're like, if the emphasis isn't on the people, then it can't ever really work. We've been trying to focus on the tech as the core value within crypto for a long time, and I'd say it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, it's what you enable, the benefits of the technology, not just the technology. Right. But I think we're getting there. I'm not saying we have the answer, but we're stepping in the right way to iterate to whatever the thing should be. It's a step towards the truth, I think, in some ways.
So in your perspective, as the person that thinks about brand so much and understands the ideas of branding, what can people do across the organization to like stay in line with this? What behaviors can they do to help push this forward or stay on brand, if you will?
I think it's also more ideological, Right. I think branding is very heavy for commercial corporate uses. Like it's more about people finding a common ideology together that makes them think a certain way, as opposed to like, I have to do this. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want. Nobody, do whatever you want. But
It's kind of on
I
brand.
right. But I think it's more about you feeling this way and understanding this feeling, and then wanting to see how you interpret that feeling, and if it is fitting with the ideology, like I think there's, and that works in a lot of different ways, but I don't think we're not going to make anybody do anything. But I think the consistency that you have in ideology works great. It's contagious. People want to talk about it. They like it. And it's I think more around understanding the ideology of what being a pioneer in this space means. What does it mean to really work in crypto and be working in crypto? Because everybody want to look at the people that have been there a long time, like you, right? Or Jared, who've been there from the beginning. And what it was like then is what we're talking about. It was people were working in warehouses, living and sleeping anywhere and just building shit because they were passionate. There was no money. Like it had nothing to do with that. So all these things also, I mean, okay, a little bit, but nobody knew what was coming in a way, right?
Yeah, we had no idea that it would be this.
No. Sure. And now there's all the people there, but it's more the passion of why you're doing something and what you believe in of why you're creating something. There's something more than somebody telling you should do this or money telling you to do it. It's a passionate thing that I think is important, that give people a drive to try to achieve something like that. So it's hard to tell people you have to do this. Like you want them to try to feel it and understand.
And then that's a better way to do it. Like conversations like this, I think, help in terms of getting people to understand it and then align with it, because they understand it and like it and are aligned with it, and therefore they can adopt a behavior that is on brand, if you will. But like, what else can we do? Like, how else can we like evangelize the brand so that people understand it and then act accordingly if they are aligned with it?
I think it's also about understanding the feeling of why this space exists in the first place, right? Like we are here in crypto because we don't want to abide by these rules. We don't want to play the game. We don't want to look like these other things. We want to be completely anti from corporate structures and all of these things that look to impose and change the way you think. Like anybody that wants that, I think, can be a great evangelist for understanding why this space exists. So the more you create things that look like or think like people that have infiltrated the space, it ruins it. It waters it down. So I think it's better to keep the core ideas about what this space is and what the people are fighting for. And then you find the truth in this, right? It's like, it's also very hard to be a conduit for science and engineering, because that's the truth. Everything around it else is scaffolding, right? Everything I'm doing and whatever is poetry in the city. It's bullshit, because I'm trying to look for a pure interpretation of these ideas. And this is how I think you have to dig down and try to find something there that relates, that also resonates with the truth of the engineering. What is it these guys are trying to build and why, right? How do I show that? Or how can I communicate that to other people? What are the benefits of that? Like you start to look at the way that you interpret the thing.
That's Chris here. And a lot more storytelling, which I think is true. Finding those stories that we're doing, telling them. It's a good transition, actually. Anything else you want to?
I don't know. I think I hope I gave some insights into the brand, and I think why it can be nice for us, and be relatable, and also just be something different. People start to talk about and say, "What is this? Why did they do that?" It's like,
I love it personally. Yeah. I think it's great. It's certainly, it appeals to me because it resonates with why I'm in crypto and the things I like doing, and this idea of pioneering and things like that.
Yeah, and I hope we can get everybody hiking and shit. It'll be nice also, right? You relate to people also differently.
All Hands doesn't have quite as much time to get everyone on a hike, but
no.
I mean, it's a pretty place, so maybe we can give people the options. Offsite has some time, though. All right. I'll make a transition. Thanks, Ned. Good to
All
hear
right,
from you.
sir. Okay. I wish you luck and thanks.
We'll have more from you because these conversations are fun. So
Okay.
I'll keep bothering you.
Okay.
All right. Up next, to continue the culture, we're going to bring in Amelia. We're going to talk about more circles awesomeness and the wonderful effort you've been putting forward and actually talking to real people and doing real things.
Yeah, a lot of talking with people. 30 stewards now. A lot.
It's coming along, man.
I'm borderline dealing with this. I'm naturally a very introverted person, so it's a lot. But we're bringing on some regional steward coordinators per one for Europe, one for Africa, United States coming soon. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how we can support circles and stewards growing more with those extra hands on deck.
How are you seeing this interaction with bringing stewards to all hands and in the event and us like all coming together? How's it shaping up? How are you feeling about that?
Very good, because I think one of the hardest things for stewards is like even speaking as a CC who's running circles, when you have 20 people that you're trying to help kind of facilitate this conversation, but they've all got questions about logos and maybe even I don't know all the answers to them. So I think having stewards be able to access the same information as CCs, understand the roadmap better, the mission, kind of integrate more and kind of work on the same platform of knowledge that we have is going to be a huge benefit for running circles.
I'm interested in seeing like how well that translates as it is today to them and hearing their questions as to like, this doesn't make sense still, or I don't understand this part of it. And so like hearing their gaps as they try and absorb this stuff is going to be very useful. And I think as a call out or call to action to everyone who's listening, while we're at this event, listen for those things. Listen for where people who are outside of the organization have gaps in understanding and like write it down, and so that we can aggregate that type of stuff and then fix it so that like the only real way we're successful in this is if like people really get what we're trying to do and can see that progress of us doing it. And we do that by listening to them when they don't understand it.
Yeah. And I didn't shout out Chris, but I should have, because Chris, who just joined kind of the team a few weeks ago, has gone on to start his own circle in Brussels. And he's been giving so much feedback on the documentation we have and helping to kind of prepare a version 2 for onboarding new stewards, which has been really helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been slacking in my local one. I'm kind of, I don't know, like I'm in this mentality of like, you can't make somebody do something, they have to be ready for it. And I've kind of keyed up a number of people that have the potential to start a circle, and I want to like foster them in doing it. And I don't want to be like, all right, let's do it. I don't want to do it myself, kind of.
Yeah, of course.
We'll see how that goes. Maybe end up pushing a little harder or just doing it. So how's Porto? Tell me about that particular one. What's been the experience there?
Yeah, Porto. Let me share my screen so I can just remind myself of everything that we've been doing. Porto is an interesting circle. I think probably it's one of the strongest winnable issues that we have across all circles. And if we can kind of prototype this well in Porto, I think the impact that we could have globally through disseminating what we've done through different circles in cities in the world, like the impact could be huge. So I'm really excited about what we've been doing in Porto. This kind of came about, actually, I'll give another shout out, Lou, this time. So Lou kind of had a contact who was working in the domestic violence space. This woman, we'll call her Girl. She prefers to go by this pseudonym because she is acting and working very closely with a group of domestic violence survivors who are all kind of anonymous. And Girl had this idea from even lived and experiences with the women that she's been working with in Portugal who have suffered domestic violence and tried to access all of the existing channels in Portugal for support to escape from their abuser, which failed. So these were kind of accessing emergency resources, a 24-hour phone line, which was reported to be offline for 6 weeks over the summer. These survivors are reporting situations of violence and even death threats to the police and attempted death threats, which were just not followed up on. So all of the kind of existing infrastructure that should be there to support domestic violence survivors in Portugal, it's not working. So they started to come up with this idea of building a private digital escape egress for domestic violence survivors. So it's a very, very strong defendable use case for privacy technology, because they need to be able to create communities for themselves to discuss with each other, to access emergency funds. And yeah, there's kind of no existing solution for that right now. So kind of the first part of this winnable issue is building this digital escape egress. So we are working now on building a kind of a V1 website. And this kind of V1, it has a link to a Signal chat group that the domestic violence survivors has set up. The website is being built so it looks like an architectural guide, like furniture website. So if someone's looking over your shoulder, they can't see that this is a support site for domestic violence survivors. And also looking at building in a P2P crypto fundraising platform mechanism on that site, like we did in Zanzibar, to buy bit refill gift cards that then girl who's stewarding this this community of domestic violence survivors can then give directly to them when they need them. So that's kind of where we're at now, just in the building stage of this website. The other part of this winnable issue is a safety in numbers campaign. So the safety in numbers campaign would give people the right to know if a current or former partner has a history of violence or abuse. So our kind of motto for this, the two sides of this, is we have privacy for the powerless, transparency for the powerful. So it's a privacy app for the survivors, but it's transparency if you've been a reported abuser and someone requests information about you. Transparency, people need to be able to access this. A law already exists, it's Clare's Law, I think it is, in the UK, where you can access that information. So for this part of the campaign, there is a change.org petition, and we need to get to a neat 1 million signatures for this to be debated in Parliament, the European Parliament, actually, to go into law across Europe. But
you need to be European for that?
Someone asked me this, and I don't have a clear answer. I need to figure out if anyone can sign that. I think you can. Yeah, so for this part of the campaign, we're working with one of the co-founders of the New Economy Institute, who's based in Porto, who's joined the Porto Circle. It's a think tank and a kind of a policy research group who have been very, very successful in kind of shaping crypto and technology legislation here in Portugal. So yeah, they're a huge asset to kind of pushing forward that part of the campaign. And also at our first circle that we had in Porto, that was last month, we had a founder of a developer studio joining us. So this is like amazing. He's offered girl can visit the developer studio and, kind of propose this website and this app and get as many people kind of supporting and volunteering as possible. So we had these two super key people coming to the first circle in the middle of a storm. I don't know if you've seen, we're either the second or third storm in the last few weeks here in Portugal. It's been wild, like 200-kilometer-an-hour winds in some places, wow. So much destruction.
Wow.
So to get anyone showing up, it's been tough, but yeah, it went really well. And I think that's more or less where we're at. Like right now we're working with Girl to create an activation at Parallel Society. So Girl's going to be there, and Girl is also a DJ, and she's an amazing kind of multimedia creative. So she's creating this video about the issue of domestic violence, using some interviews, disguising the identities of the women that she's working with. And that'll be kind of on a screen at Parallel Society with headphones, so you can listen to it, and there'll be a CTA to sign that change.org petition.
Awesome. What else can we do in the meantime? Just get ready to do that.
Let's try to sign the change.org petition. I think if it lets you, we can say you guys work.
Sure. What's the worst? We have more external support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, then I'll add this tweet storm in the description or in the notes so that people can get access to it.
Yeah, and Girl is running this podcast as well. I'd highly recommend to listen yourself, or if it's not relevant to you, like 1 in 5 women across Europe have suffered domestic violence, so they might find some community and some support in that group that she's building.
Yeah, for sure. Once it's if it's useful to some, it can be useful to many, especially in this kind of circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing this. And I very much look forward to this event. Like every time I hear about more and more stuff that's happening, what we've done, what we're doing, it makes me more excited and proud to be like a part of this type of thing. So thank you for your effort.
Yeah, thank you so much. Me too. I share the same feelings.
All right. See you soon.
See you.
Up next, more about Parallel Society's event. Martin coming through. Lou has not messaged me. Should be any minute probably about joining us. But for now, you guys talk about some sweet, cool things we're thinking about doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been helping Lou over the past few weeks to coordinate the Logos presence and activations at the Parallel Society event. So it's where we want to showcase the best of Logos, right? Where we are launching with a bang. The testnet is coming. It's also the first time we'll be talking about Logos Core publicly. And we want to really make sure that we showcase how the principles that we built this software with actually translate into the design choices, but also how we grow the tribe and make reasonable impact socially and culturally. So the Parallel Society event will have 5 zones. All the Logos projects are going to be located in the free and open source software zone, which means that we will be able to dominate it and we'll be able to provide very good programming there that will be guided kind of by the EcoDev strategy that we're currently pushing. And that means that we want to really focus on node operators, builders, open source contributors. So for these reasons, also the presence will be skewed largely towards Logos blockchain, but we'll also have a space for workshops for other parts of Logos stack. So this will be mostly workshop-based, and we'll also have stationary desks. We will provide a node station where you can come and have assistance for running the Logos node. We will also have a keycard station where Gilui is planning some cool activations where you can build your own secure element, and possibly a hacker's help desk. And this should all be in the fuzz zone. The fuzz zone is one of the larger zones. It's a hack space actually for almost 200 people, and it has the largest stage. So and now maybe I'll talk a bit more about the workshops. So it's still work in progress. So things can change, of course. But we want to segue from the speaking about introducing stuff, right, and the principles that we built this with into actually practical workshops that visitors and developers at different levels can participate in. So we'll have the one. The core ones are mostly the testnet workshop where you will you will also learn how to run your own node and do stuff on testnet. There'll be also more advanced one, which will be around deploying stuff on LEE and programs, building those, and also some talks or workshops. We're still working that out around the architecture that is behind Logos blockchain, basically. And let me just talk a bit more about hacking, because as I said, it's a big hack space. And so we are working on a program that is intended for builders who want to build stuff right there on testnet. I can talk about it much more because it's going to be an announcement that's coming and it's still a work in progress. But basically what we are trying to do is to channel this activity into meaningful contributions across the stack, or like social impact that is relevant to us. Yeah, maybe that's something I can discuss at the next town hall, because that's increasingly becoming clear. Yeah,
it's a little alpha for you.
Right. Yeah. And just one more thing I want to mention is that because of this, we have some need to actually like onboard these people prior to the event. So we might be doing like some coding workshops, or just people, showing off how to deploy stuff on the testnet, potentially not testnet because it won't be live, but on LEE. And we are trying to really give space to all the projects across the IFT. We will have also a lightning stage, so we are allocating some time there for Status Network, for example, so that they can also bring their own native apps there, so that they can show off the whole experience and onboard people again.
What do you need? What do you need people to do? If you had a call to action for someone to help out and contribute, what would it be?
So we are trying to identify what would be these meaningful contributions right now. So I've asked the team leads already to provide input for this. So, if you are not a team lead, but you think that you understand what could be like a very good item for an open source contribution for your project, just talk to the team lead and try to push this through, because we are looking for nominations there. And this is something that really creates a community around what we are doing, and potentially can result in having more open source contributors too.
Awesome. I'm man, this is gonna be so much fun. It's like gonna be the best gathering I think we've ever had as an organization, based on all of the work y'all been doing. It's really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we are trying to really make it around the impact, right? So and that's what differentiates us. Whereas we have a culture zone, and we also have a community zone, which will be more around kind of the communities and the stuff that's coming through circles, and that should really create that kind of pipeline where the stack actually can be useful.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this, like our ability to bridge that gap that has been so hard to do for so long, of like making it clear how the technology influences the community and allows for the types of things that people want to be doing. So they can like we're talking about the brand earlier with Ned. If we can show that we're enabling the lifestyle that the brand is exemplifying through the technology we're building, then it's like we have something special. And I'm really interested to see that grow and figure out how we do it, right?
Yeah. I think maybe I can, Lou's not yet here, so if we have time, I can maybe talk a bit more about kind of the coalition across the zones, and how we envision that would play out. If that's all right. Yeah. So basically, just to give you, maybe this was mentioned in the previous town halls, but just to recap, so we have a bunch of coalition partners, right, for the event. Call them sponsors if you want.
Yeah.
Right. But they are all aligned with kind of the mission and the principles that we build this around, and those are, everyone is allocated to a certain zone. So we have the community zone, privacy zone, decentralized zone, free and open source software zone, and then within these zones, we don't have a set program in the afternoon, and it will be actually a call for these members of that given zone to coordinate a program that they think would be engaging, but also would actually bring something new as a collaborative effort, because we don't want anyone going on their own tangent. We want like a collective outputs.
Yeah, this is going to be. It's nice. This is speak of the devil. Lou has joined. She can join us in the conversation. Martin was just going over the kind of the tech space, some of the things we've been doing. He was very good about not giving away too much information yet without the official announcements. We're just going over kind of the format with the coalition partners we have, how it's set up, all the different zones, things like that.
Amazing. And I'm so sorry to be late. I was actually having a really nice call with a local radio station that can broadcast things for us and do different cool stuff. But great. So, I mean, everything's going really good. We're going to do some big announcements by Tuesday or Wednesday, pending when we can get the website fully updated. Press releases being drafted around all of that and things. So there'll be two components to that. So the day one part will be the new coalition members, and then more announcements on the external speakers. That's great. And then I'm trying to think. I can probably just I'll share all that info on Tuesday, just because this is also public, isn't it?
Yep,
So
this is public.
So yeah, we're getting there in terms of we've got over 150 tickets sold for day one, a coalition and free downloaded tickets, and partners and CCs takes that to 450 to 500 attendees on day one, which is great. So we're pushing to get about another 300 to 400, largely from developer ecosystems, activists, technologists, founders in Portugal, Spain, EU, and then obviously globally, people are coming in as well now. In terms of the coalition, let me just get up some information that I recently pulled together. I think we're at like 35 or 37 partners. Forgive me if I'm...
Wow.
I
don't know how you do it.
Yeah, at the minute I'm a bit of a brain fog. 38 coalition members. So privacy, we have Darkfine, NIM, Monericon, Women in Web Privacy Now, Web3 Privacy Now, Zano Haven in the FOS zone, which is the more working hack space, building things together. We have Tor, Logos, Keycard, Status, and Internet Archive, I think, will definitely join on board in the coalition. Nice. There's not that many staff, and Brewster is meant to be in Europe, so they're just seeing if maybe Brewster can talk, which would be amazing, or if not, just be there. And then we've kind of kept that group quite intimate, because then we have lots of time for the few projects that are involved to have their stuff being showed and worked upon, versus like we ram in so many and it just becomes I
like that idea of having unstructured time for showcasing things.
And the way that I'm not sure if Martin shared, the way that the main terminal is set up is we have a big main stage that is largely loaded in, because it's used on day 2 for all the bands and music acts. But on day 1, we use it for really kind of pivotal moments for our audiences. And the reason why we don't use it all the time is because this big 2,000 square meter space is where we have all the semi-autonomous zones. And the point I think I'm trying to get across to people on, those zones aren't 5 rooms for people to do just talks, just keynotes, just that stuff, because then we're just another conference. Yeah. Those zones are for people can present things, can show things on screen, can talk, can present, but it's as much about each zone has a purpose, and we as the coalition and attendees are all here together to work on something, which was, we want to do something that has space for people to hang out, get to know each other, work on things, seed ideas, work practically. And then we just have this very separate room to that called the lab that can have soundproof workshops, talks and things. So it has, I think, I must admit, as a learning, I think everyone in our audiences is quite sold into this. I want this session, I want to do a talk, I want to do X. And it's like, well, that's different. If you're paying a small contribution to join a coalition and you're working together with people, it's a different premise. So I think as Martin's fielding all the great things we're going to do, we also have to balance that in what we do ourselves. So the way we're kind of looking at it is that Jared can do a big opening keynote on that big stage in the main space. We don't have things programmed in the zones, and then it pivots to a shorter demo on that lovely big stage that everyone can see, because the hack zone is open with wire grating in front of it. So instead of having boring rows sat in front of a stage, like that kind of thing, it can be, but that also means it gives us flexible infrastructure, so that if like later on, if Tor may do something big at just the end of the day, we can show that on that main stage versus in the slightly smaller room, the lab. So yeah, and I think so. Now I think we've plotted out like that moving from strategy and vision for Logos through to practical showcase, and then sit-in sessions in the FOS zone where we can really be working with, talking with people, getting people to run nodes, getting people to look at download the testnet, different things like that, and also that Martin's also working on some stuff in the Lambda Prize side of things as well. So yeah, So it's looking good, and I think that in the second stage, the lab, we've got varying different talks. There'll be workshops on sovereignty, workshops on legal frameworks with different experts coordinated by Agata. There'll be a workshop by Liverland on how do you set up a country. There'll be workshops from Charters. Yeah, I think Jared was keen on that one, so that's good. And then we will, like for instance, Charter Cities Institute will be doing a very hands-on workshop about a special enterprise zone they're working with in Sierra Leone. So the whole point is that it's more practical. The tables will be in big long rows. So with people being able to watch and look at stage, but more importantly, sit and work on things as well.
Yeah.
And then we have, and I think in the community, privacy, decentralized, and cultural zone, the groups have now been set up. They're beginning to work and plan. And it really is like, this is the purpose. What are you going to do? What might you show? How might you engage participants versus I want to do workshop X or Y? Because I think that just means that we're not, a little bit of that, like that works more in the decentralized zone. We've made the layout to work more so people can do more demos versus the privacy one we're leading to. It's lots of modular little nooks and crannies. You can enter in through like a surveillance installation. People can have a private round table space. It's just dark, like it's just little lamps. So it's like, let's lean into that. And then the community zone is huge in the round, and it's going to have a big circular truss with really thin see-through fabric, so it feels like it's in the round. So we can do circles in there, we can do other things, and it's but yeah, it's going to be a bit noisy in that room. But unless I pay hundreds of thousands of euros to do soundproofing curtain to the ceiling, you know,
it's awesome. I'm so pumped for all this. What call to action do we have? How can people help? What can people do to prepare? So that we make the best of this?
I mean, I think Martin's probably better place to say. I think on, I'm sure there's things around technical documentation about sessions hosted before in terms of how we can help make sure that we get the best contributions at the event. Is there anything you'd add there, Martin?
Well, I think these are things which are currently being processed, and we are aware of kind of maybe the deliverables that we need. What I would add maybe is that we'll have a lot of CCs coming also from other projects, Status and other. So when we go there, we would like you ideally to be present with ready to talk with people about stuff you are working on, because we think it's cool, and it's something that so many great things are happening at the IFT, and we unfortunately, won't perhaps give you the space to talk about them formally, but there's so much informal space that you can use for selling these or showcasing your work. So, and that's part of the experience, definitely. So, I hope you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Something I think people should spend some time practicing, thinking about, etc., is the inevitable question. Say, for instance, you're casually talking to somebody at this event and they say, what do you work on? Mm-hmm. You need to be able to hopefully explain what you work on, and in a varying level of complexity, but also understand how that thing fits into the larger picture. Mm-hmm. So if you spend some time thinking about that, because you don't know who you're going to talk to, it could be someone who is incredible technical depth that can help you in your work, or build on it, or it could be someone who's like completely oblivious to technical details but is activated in the community and can proselytize this type of thing or come up with use cases that this can fit in. And so, like, not only do you need to understand what you're doing, but how it fits into the larger picture, how it enables the mission of Logos. And so, like, I'd ask everyone to think about that and just consider what you'd say if someone asked you, what do you do and how does it fit in?
Yeah. And I think, like, we've pulled together how the structure for the coalition zones and what things are being worked upon. And Martin's done a nice visual infographic, almost more for the attendee. Like, where do I go if I'm just more interested in residencies or community or top level ideas, or I'm a privacy activist and I'm not technical in the slightest? So we've tried to in the next week or so, we'll formalize a little bit like information for the attendees experience. So I think all of us knowing and understanding that, because it's not up for the event door staff that's paid to be like, oh, if you're interested in this, go. Yeah. So I think we'll also, and probably in about 2 weeks time, work on a rota for, we've got paid staff that are brilliant, like scanning tickets, checking bags, because we have to do that on certain times, cleaning, serving drinks.
And at the all hands, we'll have like some dedicated time at the end. This is kind of like a prep for like,
yeah,
here's useful information for you as core contributors about what's going to be happening over the next few days, so that you can direct, you can help participate in the coordination of all of it.
Yeah. And that could be like, you know, we have our people there just greeting, as people come in like, hi, on day one mainly, like, oh, you're here, what's of interest to you? That's not the job of the event staff who's just scanning the bus. So we can have people there, and then we can have designated people near checkpoints and different information signs to talk with people, and then just being able to answer a question if someone asks you like, oh, I'm more interested in privacy, where do I go? At least be able to tell them where, you know, that type of stuff. And I think the other thing is, I'm where I really haven't got that much bandwidth just myself, is we've got all these great coalition partners, and we need to ensure that they're really happy and looked after. So we should designate people to be like, okay, person X is just going to check that, you know, Zanzalu and Zoo Grammar and Charter Cities Institute have what they need. And so there's definitely a role for that, because this is the start, this is like the ignition point for us to carry on these relationships with lots of these great projects. For some, there might be eco-dev synergies. For others, it might just be more, you know, allies around ideologies and you know, thinking. But we should map people that make sense. So for instance, if it's a project that we want to be integrating with from an eco-dev perspective, then we want to make sure that a biz dev or an eco-dev person is looking after them. Like, oh, have you got coffee? Like little things like that make people go away and really think it was a brilliant personal event. Those finite details. But I think with all we've got going on, we'll get to that within a couple of weeks, and then that just gets coordinated.
All right.
Or if someone wants to do that job for me, I'd really appreciate the help. No. So we can, we'll get there. So.
And thank you so much for coming on, giving us an update. We'll have one more of these, I think, before we meet in person and start actually doing all of this stuff. So if you have questions in the audience, come ask us. If you want to help participate, come ask us. We'll put you to work. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm so excited.
I can't wait for it to be done. I'm not gonna lie.
Y'all deserve a break after that.
I can't wait to it, and then Aaron can enjoy it.
No,
really good. Really good for everybody.
Well, you can wrap up from here. I'll add the details of the all the normal stuff I do with the Notion page. I did write an article about the anatomy of exposure, which kind of lists through the entire privacy problem as I see it from a bird's eye view, which is basically like I follow the life cycle of a transaction and list at each point what type of information gets exposed, and whether or not that's due to the user error of like not doing good operational security, or the infrastructure, the inherent to the infrastructure, to kind of point out the whole privacy problem. I recommend you go read it and share it, because it's important that we understand the whole privacy problem and why Logos is trying to exist to address all of it instead of just one portion of it. So I'm biased because I wrote it, but go read it, and then we'll build a lot of other stuff on top of this that expands into individual places, like why the browser is so bad, or how our blockchain fixes some of the issues I point at, all these things. So,
okay.
Till next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.